I don't understand why dudes stay complaining about being here.
Because prison is an abnormal environment.
Maybe, but this doesn't feel like prison to me.
Can you come and go as you please?
No, but my people can visit me when they have the time.
True, and they have to go through all kinds of difficulties to get in.
Like?
First, they have to travel from God knows where and be here at a certain time. Then when they get here they have to pass metal detectors.
Well, we are in the maximum security prison.
True. And because of that, items like bras with metal underwire and jewelry can set off metal detectors. When that happens, your sister, mother, wife, or whoever has to go in a bathroom, remove her bra, place it in a brown bag and hand such a personal item of hers to an officer who inspects it for contraband. That's humiliating in and of itself. Also, a woman may spend hours and money getting her hair done before she visits, sometimes because she's going somewhere else later. Then she learns that she has to mess up her hair before she comes in because the hairpins set off the detector and the officer decides that either she removes all of the pins or she can't come in.
Okay, that's a little harsh, I admit. But it is done in the name of security.
True, as are the use of ion scanners.
That's because ion scanners are designed to pick up minute traces of drugs and paraphernalia. Why would they want to let someone into the prison who's recently handled drugs?
Of course they wouldn't. But by the same token, an 89-year-old lady once tested positive for drug paraphernalia by the ion scanner. Surely someone should know that a large percentage of the paper money in circulation is contaminated with cocaine residue. Yet no one takes measures to protect people who may test positive due to handling contaminated money, like the 89-year-old grandmother. She had to travel all the way back to wherever she came from and lug the 35 pounds food package with her because once she was denied entry, she couldn't leave the package. And that's to say nothing of the iffy dress codes.
Are you saying there should be no dress codes for visitors?
Of course not. I understand the need for a proper dress code. I'm just saying that there should be a consistent dress code. There was a woman denied entry because her pants were allegedly improper, even though she had worn those very pants the week before and not only got in but had a photo she had taken with her husband to prove it. The officer told her she was lucky that day and refused to let her in. So she had to go home. There's no consistency, just personal discretion.
I guess there's room for improvement in that area. But at least we can call our loved ones on the telephone.
That is true. Just don't leave out the fact that we can only call collect, and one company has a monopoly on the entire New York State prison phone system. Because of that, they can and do charge our families sometimes 4 times the market value for 30 minutes telephone calls because there is no fear of competition or free market price control.
It seems like you cannot see a single silver lining in these clouds. Aren't you happy that we have our own individual private suites with no rent?
Private, you say? First of all, your private suite is really a 6x9 cage so small that you can reach everything inside from anywhere in the cell. Secondly, there is no privacy because there are 1,700 other tenants here who are always here whether or not you tire of them. And lastly, when you first come here you must double bunk in that tiny 6x9 with another man and both of your property which doesn't leave much space for movement. There isn't enough room for you or him to pace and when one of you stands the other must sit on the bed. As for the Norrent claim, I recall clearly that I paid a surcharge after being convicted and that fee in conjunction with the time this place has taken and continues to take from me constitutes rent, mortgage, and then some.
We do lose a degree of freedom in finance, and it may be true that the lodging could be bigger. But surely you can see roses where others see only weeds. For instance, they do provide us with free clothing.
Yes, they provide us with state-issue clothes, but again, they are far from free. We pay for these clothes with time that we can never regain. Furthermore, the sweatshirts, pants, and the paper match boots are hardly sufficient to get us through the winter.
Maybe not. But what is there to go outside in the winter for anyway? Why not stay inside and study? And what of the free food? Surely you can appreciate the 2 daily meals we're guaranteed. We enjoy meals selected from an international cuisine, like Hungarian goulash, turkey tetrazzini, beef cacciatore, yakisoba, curry chicken, and more.
True, but none of the food here tastes like anything I ever ate at home. There's no flavor, it all tastes the same, and the menu never changes. And I have my doubts on whether the meals are gruely what they call them.
Okay. You have a valid point. But at least when a person gets in trouble, he still gets his food. And it's even delivered to him.
Yes, it is delivered to him while he is locked in a cage for 23 hours a day. And more often than not, he receives a smaller portion than the rest of the population because smaller trays are used to serve and sell meals. And by the time his trays arrive, the food is usually cold, the drinks are warm, and the bread, if any, is soggy.
You're like the rest of the pessimists here. You can only see the negative side of everything. What about the beauty of nature? Can you at least value the scenic view we have of the mountains and the Hudson River? People pay good money for views like this.
I'm sure they do, and I appreciate it. But I get mixed emotions knowing that New York City lies at the other end of that river. I love the view, but it's a bit sobering admiring such beauty under such dire conditions. It's oxymoronic, almost like giving birth in a graveyard. Fuck.
That's understandable. But nature does not stop with the view. We also have a semi-zoo here, Canadian geese, seagulls, raccoons, skunks, eagles, hawks, the list is endless. Surely you can cherish the up-close and personal relationship we have with nature here because we did not encounter such creatures when we were home in the 5 boroughs.
You are correct. In the 5 boroughs, we faced animals of a different sort. Yet I find it somewhat ironic that these wild creatures inhabit the same grounds as we do and yet are not locked in cages at night like the jailbirds, so to speak. We believe the notion free as a bird. And I do not think I can ever look upon the zoo with the same eyes after having spent so much of my life in a cage.
Now that you've put it like that, it is a bit depressing. But what of our top-notch security? We were safe here, protected by well-trained personnel.
That's sometimes true. But at other times, they're the ones we fear because we know that power corrupts and that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
So I've heard. But can you honestly tell me that visions of S&M do not dance in your head when you encounter a beautiful female officer in her uniform with her baton and handcuffs?
For some reason, I believe they have other ideas and plans on how they would like to use those items that instill you with a sense of sexual excitement.
You may be correct. But we do have gyms and baseball fields for health and recreation.
That we do. Although the gyms are lacking in exercise equipment and are so tiny that everyone is spotting everyone else no matter where he stands. The baseball fields are concrete, so I needn't speak more on them.
Well, you've efficiently refuted every point I've made, and yet I'm sure there is one thing you cannot refute. We are eons ahead of society in terms of healthcare.
Oh really? Do tell.
Well, we have had free healthcare for all our residents for decades now, while Obama has only recently enacted it for Americans on the outside.
Ah, you speak truth. Free healthcare for all. And our healthcare is obtained by informing an officer at 10 o'clock p.m. that you are ailing. The following morning at around 6:30 a.m., you will be escorted to the medical unit where you will be seen by a nurse. If she determines that you have an emergency, she will arrange for you to see a doctor, which usually takes anywhere from 10 to 14 days. Most times it will not be deemed an emergency and she will give you 6 Tylenol and throat lozenges before telling you to come back in 3 days if your symptoms persist. There are even times when you can be cited and fined for going to the emergency room if they do not deem your condition an emergency, and to them, emergencies only exist when you're bleeding or are having chest pains.
Well, what do you expect from free health care? It's free.
There is nothing free here. time pays for all.
Indeed, but I say Prism is not as bad as some of the hotels I've been in.
An apt analogy, although if I were comparing it to hotels, it would be Heartbreak Hotel. You can check in but you can check out until Big Brother says so.
If Prism is so bad, why are prisons so overcrowded? Why do people recidivate so often? Why don't people just stay home?
That is another story entirely, one which will take up more time than I have today. However, I will tell you not to believe the stories you hear about prison overcrowding. History has shown that, when it comes to prison, there's always room for one more. So if you know anyone who's interested, tell him or her that he or she will not be turned away at the gates due to overcrowding.
I've truly enjoyed our discussion. You've shed light on many subjects I hadn't thoroughly analyzed. Maybe I will rethink my position on Prism.
Glad I could be of assistance.
So there you have it from both sides of the coin.
Who do you believe in? To be continued.